Hey, it's Troy. Wanted to share a new pen edition I just got in today's mail. And this should look familiar for those of you who also follow Larry's fountain pens, because just recently he's been playing with his and he put a new nib in his. And quite honestly, Larry prompted me to go back and try to get it, because on eBay I've been trying to win this pen for a little while now, probably before I even heard of Larry. But I kept losing the auctions on eBay for a Conklin All-American, and this is the Old Glory, the red, white, and blue version. Just showed up today. So having seen Larry monkey with his on his videos, I went, you know, I've been trying to get that pen for a long time now, and I kept losing out on auctions. So I figured, all right, what the heck, what have I got to lose? So I get back on to eBay and I put in some bids, and quite honestly, I lost this auction. Now these pens are going for $60, $70, and I've seen it buy it now for $99. This particular auction, I put in a bid of $31 because shipping was going to be $9, which is a little high, I think. But for this particular seller who sells a lot of Conklin products as well as Monteverde stuff, I went ahead and figured, what the heck, you know, for $9, 31, $40 total, I'm getting a pen that normally retails, I've seen anywhere from $60 to about $100. So I'll give it a shot. Oh, I lost out. So someone bid 32 and got it. So I got a second chance offer from that same seller and said, hey, you know, you lost the auction at 31, but if you want, I'll sell it to you for that. So I took the second chance offer. So I went ahead and paid him, and within a couple of days, this was in my mailbox. Actually, it wasn't in my mailbox because the mailman kind of handed it to me because I met him at the door. My dogs were barking, and you know, my little motion sensor went off along with video recording, so I went ahead and got it. So anyway, the Conklin All-American was on my wish list for quite a while, literally on my wish list, and because I liked the red, white, and blue. Yes, being an All-American kind of guy, born and raised here in the U.S. So I said, that's a pretty pen, kind of like it, I want it. So, wanted to share a little bit about this particular pen. First of all, it is, you know, it's got a nice acrylic to it. It's got a silver trim for a clip, and it's springy, so that'll be really easy if you happen to put it in a pocket or clip it to a shirt. I tend to wear t-shirts nowadays because I got a tech job and I often work from home. But, you know, it's a nice weighted pen. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put on some statistics for it here in the video, where, you know, its length and all those stats that people kind of like. I'm really not into them, but if other people like them, so be it. So it has a twist cap, and it's not too many twists. Well, maybe it is. One, two full twists, and it's out. And you really can't see it well, but it does say on the barrel right here, Conklin All-American. You may be able to see that, maybe not. But that's where it is engraved on that barrel. And of course it has the Conklin logo there on the clip. So silver trim. It's almost an oversized pen. It's almost the same size as, let's say, a Jinhao 159, not quite, or a Mont Blanc 149. What I will say is this can actually fit into my drawers that hold a little more slender pens, whereas those two pens I just mentioned don't. But, so it's a little more slender. The barrel is kind of smooth, very smooth. There's no texture to it. When you see the only texture you're going to find is on that engraving that's on there. So it'll fit comfortably in the hand. You know, I've got fairly big paws, like I say from time to time. You'll see that you've got the screw right here for the cap. The section's actually not a bad length. You can feel the threads when you go to grip it. I normally grip down here, right before the nib. The nib, you'll see, is a two-tone. Let's see if you can focus in on that a little better. Maybe you can see it, maybe not. But that's ye olde nib. And I got a little bit of hair on that, so go figure. But it's a medium nib. Cap goes on it nicely. Weighting in your pocket, it's not going to be too heavy. Fully inked, It is fully inked, and I put in some Pilot Orochizuku ink into it just a little bit ago. It is a cartridge fed, a cartridge ore converter, and I've got a converter in there right now. And what I like about what Yafa's doing with their Conklin and their Monteverde brands is they use the screw in for the converter, which makes it very solid and they're not coming out. I like that when it comes to converters. I don't like just a friction feed. I like it when they screw in. Now, what else can I tell you about it? Should you use it posted? No, that's totally up to you. I can deal without it being posted quite nicely as it is. You post it, it's a little weightier in the back. It doesn't throw it so far out of balance. I would never use it posted, but I don't really see the need because it is sufficient length to still fit comfortably in the hand, still give you a little bit sticking out to be able to rest without it being uncomfortable in the rest of your hand. But even posted, it's not too bad. I could deal with it. When I just don't have a place to set the cap, that's probably what I would do. But sitting at my desk, I would probably leave it unposted. So, how does it write? What do I like about it? Well, I told you most of what I like about it already. I mean, it's a comfortable fit. It's comfortable in the hand. It's easy to use. I like it. It's got a screw cap. Some people love snap caps. Some people love screw caps. I don't really care. I don't have a preference one way or the other. I like them both. I do like the fact it's going to be secure with a screw. I don't mind unscrewing it every time. To some people that's monotonous. Every pen has its own flavor, its own character, and I don't mind. When I got it, I don't know if the more I progress into fountain pendom, to coin a phrase, if I'm just getting pickier and pickier about how my nibs write. I like medium nibs. I don't like fine nibs. This happens to be a medium nib. And when I went to go write with it, it seemed just a little on the scratchy side, which, quite honestly, some of the Conklin or Monteverde brand products that I have gotten recently have tended to be just a hair on the scratchy side. And it also didn't flow ink quite as much as I wanted it to, so I monkeyed with it just a little bit, and I got it to flow a little more ink, so it was acceptable. Okay, I can live with that. That's all right. But then still, it scratched a little bit. Well, the tines were slightly out of alignment on it, so I had to get that back in alignment. And even then, it still wasn't quite where I wanted it. So, get out my micro mesh, and I started working on it, and it writes a lot smoother than it did. Here's my criticism, though. It shouldn't have to be so on a brand new pen. You guys hear me, you manufacturers? I shouldn't have that problem. Yes, I got inky fingers, and that's after taking a shower, because I got this first thing and played with it, even before I hit the shower today. But I shouldn't have to play with them. That's my frustration. That several pens I've gotten here recently have either, straight from the factory, been horrible writers, or I get them and they write, could be a lot better. So, I tweaked it a little bit. Maybe I'm just getting better at it, and maybe I'm just getting more and more picky about my writing instruments, owning a bunch of them now, and I don't know. Maybe that's the case. So, all right, well, let me show you how it writes. And yeah, I'm not doing the huge show you every little flow, but it wrote in my handy dandy notebook that I always keep. It actually wrote fairly well. So right here you'll see that today I used the Conklin All-American Old Glory and medium nib, and I used some of the Pilot Orochizuku Asagao Gao. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but it needed a little bit of nib work, and it did fairly well once I got the nib work done. This is a very nice quality paper. I don't even know who makes it, but this is one of those when I used to own a used bookstore. This is just when I buy stuff by the truckload, you find lots of stuff, and I found, notebooks. Just to give you an idea of some of the other stuff, I've got that Charles Schultz Esterbrook that I've been monkeying with that I didn't really like its nib either, and it kept running dry. So what I did was I actually bought a Nemesis medium steel nib, and I've already tried a different nib before, so this is a third nib that's in that thing to see if it would do better. So far it did well with the actual writing. It writes better than it did with that Nemesis nib, but it still is a hard starter and still will be dry. Even setting it down for a brief amount of time, go to pick it up, it's still a really hard starter. So I'm beginning to think that modern day Esterbrooks might have a crappy feed in them. I really don't know, but I'm very disappointed in that. And I put in some Diamine Presidential Blue, and it, like I said, it wrote fairly well. Don't mind it. So I took the nib that came with it, figuring it's not a nib problem, it might be a feed problem, and I put it in a Jinhao 450 that had been giving me some problems. And I took out the Jinhao nib and I put the nib that was in the Esterbrook, and so I threw it into it had an Iridium medium nib that used to be in the Esterbrook. It needed some smoothing. Again, some smoothing. It was a little scratchy when it was in that Jinhao, for some reason, a little more so than it was in even in that Esterbrook. So I threw in some Birmingham Pens Fred Rogers Cardigan Red, which actually writes better on paper than it looks when you get it in a pen, and it writes nicer on this for that ink than it did on my notepad. It just shows up a little differently, a little more bright on this. It wasn't quite oxblood red, but so I've been playing with nibs a lot lately. Yesterday was a big nib day for me. I mean, I smoothed out nibs on 5 pens yesterday because some of them, you know, my wife got a new pen, and so she just went, not quite. I said, all right, give it to me. So it just spent just a little bit of time, and oh, suddenly it's working very well for her. That 450, and there was a couple other pens that I had. I was just not satisfied. Maybe, like I said, I'm just getting pickier and pickier with my nibs, and just less tolerant of just taking whatever I got. So, and I guess more and more as I do it and I get better at it, then the less likely I am to tolerate a scratchy or horrible writing pen and seek to make it better. So, anyway, the Conklin All-American. Do I recommend it? If you can get it at a good price, yes. Would I pay $99 for this? Heck no. There is no way I would pay the buy it now price that some people are asking for of $99. I wouldn't pay $60 for it. I got it for $40 including shipping, and that to me is about the top end of what I'm willing to pay for a pen like this, especially if it's going to require me to do a little smoothing to get it writing the way it should be. And I don't know if it's just, you know, Conklin and Monteverde, Jaffa brands that are just irritating me with their nibs, but they have some gorgeous pens. The Giant Sequoia I got took some work on that nib to get it to work right. The Conklin Nighthawk that I've got it comes with a Goulet nib, so it's a Yovo nib, and it works smooth and fantastic. And I've got another Conklin, the Duragraph. Not a single problem. Actually, I bought the Duragraph from the same guy that I bought this from on eBay. So it's a buyer that I've bought from previously, so I knew I was going to get a decent product, quality product in theory. And that Duragraph wrote great, by the way. Duragraph, don't be fooled. 50, 60, 70 bucks online. I paid 27 for mine, so you can get them cheaply. So that's the one thing I do like about this and that Duragraph, that Conklins can be found for decent prices if you know where to look online. Alright, that's my latest. Just sharing it with you. No, Matthew's not with me today. Don't send me hate mail wondering where he is. He'll be back for some more videos coming up. And I'm pretty sure I've only got like another 6 or 7 subscribers to hit that 250. And, you know, that's a small milestone, but it's our first milestone. And we've only been doing this a couple of months. I already got the products in that I'm going to give. I've got, oh, what the heck, I'll tell you guys now. I do that Fred Rogers red ink. I've got a bottle of that. I have a Knox pen that I got. Matthew has a Knox pen, and it writes very nicely. So I've got another Knox, and I've got a few Clairefontaine small notebooks that I'm going to throw in there, and a leather pen slip. So not a high-end giveaway, but it's still going to be our giveaway because we're still, you know, fairly small, and bigger milestones, I tell you what, I hit 1,000, we'll make a much better giveaway. I enjoy doing this. I just like to pass on stuff. My whole goal is that if you're looking for something to add to your collection, you may see something that you like that I present to you, and maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not to you. Maybe you've learned something, maybe you haven't. Maybe you've learned about the brand that you've never tried before. Maybe you've been looking at these pens and you didn't know what to think. This is just my experience with it. I know that other people have put different nibs in this very model and are happy with the newer nibs, and I just may still yet do that. I had to smooth it out a little bit, but I may still throw a different nib in here just to see how well it writes. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye.